everyone, welcome to Long Arm Wednesday. I'm Laura Lynn of the Mama Pop Quilt Shop, and we're very happy to see you here today. We're working on Grace's quilts. If you've been a part of our Mama Pop Shop Mafia group on Facebook, then you will see posts of her quilt, and she was asking for suggestions on whether she should continue this lovely scrappy piano key kind of border all the way around, because she only had two edges, and we said yes, put it on all of them, so because it really finishes it off. Shush, no time for you today. So what I'm going to show you, I have customized this quilt. I just didn't put an edge to edge on it. I've done something in the borders. Each yellow has something different. I'll show it up on the small camera. Hopefully you can see it. It's got this little feather that has stitched out, a little triangle feather. And then I have sectioned off the blues into another sort of purpose. I also put a couple little surprises on here. There's a little flower, a couple little flowers right there. There is on each little spot. And so those are something for her little eyes to catch, right? So little treats. So what I need to do is finish off a little bit of the border here before I roll and finish off the top. So it's another little blue section like this, but it's at the very top, okay? So what I want to do here, I have it, I need to put it into the draw boundary mode. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about the software here and how I work it, and how I work it to customize a beautiful quilt. So I know that I don't want any of my stitches to come into this red fabric. So I'm going to make sure when I'm clicking out, I'm going to rest my foot all the way and click, 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 click. So it's coming in 1/4 of an inch. But first I'm going to work that on this side. Okay, so coming in a little bit. But I'm also going to click out where the previous stitches of this has ended and where this one has ended down here on this part. So I can make sure I'm putting the piece that I need to in between these two spots and lining them up exactly. So I'm going to go click. Okay, I have the volume low. Well, it's actually non-existent. So I'm just following that. So I know that the top of that feather or the end of that feather, I need to line it up with the one coming this way. So I'm coming down, following that feather, so I know exactly where it is, and I'm not questioning at any point, is this going to fit? Is this not going to fit? Is this going to line up right? Is that not going to line up right? So you'll see, as you'll see in the little software, where it needs to be, right? So I go back and I go exit drawing. Sorry, I'm going to disappear for a moment here. It's just because the monitor's in the way. Turn the keyboard a bit. And I'm going to go back to one of my border corners areas, okay? And I know I have this beautiful pattern right here that I can select, because that's what's coming up from the bottom side here, that little bottom corner. It's going along the bottom, coming up the sides is that image right there. It's already been stitched because it's red. Anything that's not stitched goes in black, and things to come are green, okay? So I like this piece, and I want to make sure it's consistent in size and everything else. So it should measure probably about 17 inches for these two pieces. And I'm going to select the two of them if it wants to cooperate. There we go. And I'm going to copy this because I'm like, it already worked the first time around. I'm going to go back over to my quilt group that I'm working on and I've just clicked out, and I'm going to come over here and put paste. Okay, so that should be pretty darn close. Okay, so I have to tweak it up a smidgy. That's all right. It's better than a smidgy is better than, you know, having to do 6 or 7 inches, right? So this is where I get a chance to position it. Oops, let me go back out here a little bit. To where I need it to be, because this is where in between, if you're down here, see how it changed? Because I've moved it and I've tweaked it. The other feather is ended, and I want it to look like it has just continued in one whole stitch out from do. This is trying to do the border without flipping and repinning. Okay, so you do like maybe your top if you like it, your bottom. It's hard to work on the sides unless you're chunking it out. This was a good enough size, being 61 or something like that, or 65 by 65-ish. So it was easy enough to do a bit of a chunky border. So what the top ended here and the bottom ended here, I have this little space in between that we can get to stitch out. So what I want to do is just make sure it's lining up correctly. I'm going to put it over on this line right here to that bottom feather and then stretch this up. Okay, now of course, not all borders are going to be even. They're going to be sometimes a little bit wonky, a little bit wavy. That's just what happens. Okay, so I kind of want to move that in just a little bit and move this one just a little bit this way. Okay, so it looks a little bit more even per se. And this is where the bottom stem, see where I'm moving the little mousey on the software? That is the bottom stem of this one. So I want to make sure that the top of this feather is going to kind of snug up just a little bit so it looks like it's part of it. There may be just a tiny little gap in there, but you're never going to see it. Okay, so that is how we're going to get that to stitch out. So that should be pretty bang on. You can always move it just a little bit, tweak it just a little bit. I think we'll just come up there. And here we go all. So I'm looking at the whole piece and making sure, just in case, like what if I was tweaking it so much that I went past my barrier where I need to be, my whole stitch space, right? So you got to be careful. So I know it's going to come up to here. I can see it on, on the software where it's going to go there and where it's going to go down in here where it's going to even start. So it's going to start here and putter its way. All right, so change the mode to start quilting. And Mr. Walt is going to do his stuff. There we go. Put those little there. And it's going to stitch out. So we're going to do that again on the other side. Okay, so be patient. It's going to be a little bit of a show today. But I want to show you how we're finishing out Grace's beautiful log cabin quilt. And this was actually a pre-printed block that had where you were sewing things. I thought that was so fun and unique. I'd never seen that before. So, and someone else had said, oh, you can get it for the pineapple, for the courthouse steps, and also for this. But I'd never seen the fabric before. So I guess it's like a base fabric or a foundation fabric. Instead of doing a paper pasting, you sewed on there, and it was lovely. It's lovely. Okay, so it has stopped because it only stitched out the one pattern. I'm just going to go continue because it should go right back to where it started and continue. Okay, so it's now going to finish the second little leaf, feather leaf. What's it called? It just says feather. 03 feather. I like it. It's got a little bit different to it. So, and I also have a little bit of a funky kind of feather going on in the blue. And like I said, I put flowers at this point, the top point, and each point where it comes together. And then I put a nice big flower petal in the center. And I'll show you that. I'll click through the software before we get to the next part so you can see what I've stitched out. And then we'll need to do our boundaries on that side as well. Then go back and take that other little chunk from the bottom and just kind of like bringing it up. Making sure it's all nice and equal looking, right? There we go, perfect. Like how well that lined up. And it's because you took a little extra time to click things out. And all right, so now we're going to continue. It's like, okay, well, I'm done. What else did you want me to do? I'm like, all right, well, let's go click a boundary over here. See Grace's beautiful quilt. All right, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in a little bit over on the side here, so I'm not going to stitch anywhere near this lovely red. I really want that to stand out. I'm going to do the curve of that feather, come down to where I know it's probably going to have to start over here, and then shy of that stitched edge at least a quarter, okay? And then come down, and then I want to make a representation of what's already stitched here, so I'm not overlapping anything at all. Okay, and then back up here. You can't hear it going beep, 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 beep because the TV's on mute. So, but you don't want to hear it because sometimes it gets really boring to hear all the beeps. Okay, so you see that one? It's all been clicked out and everything. You can see it up there. Now I'm going to go take what I had down here in the border. It's going to go over to that software or to the other folder. Okay, oh, I don't want that corner piece. Come on, just sometimes it's panicky. And I want to copy that, go back over to my quilt group 10, and I want to paste, and I want to come right close to where that needs to be. Okay, and then I can just tweak it down. Okay, all right, and then pull it. So it gets really close to those. And then you can say you could tweak that a little bit there. If you think, oh, you know, I think it's going too close to the edge, you can move it. And I'm just going to pull that a little bit closer so it ends up touching that other feather up here. Okay, so it's going to look like it's coming right off of that one. But for some reason that didn't change to unsewn. And now we're going to, well, it's over there ready to go, and start sewing. So he's going to go move into position and start right there. Okay, make sure I grab my bobbins from the bottom, bobbin thread from the bottom, and it's just going to do its feather, but in the reverse way, as the same as it was working its way all the way around the quilt. Okay, and that's kind of like what I designed for the feather. Went around this way, and then on the inside, it was a matter of coming to points at the top with these inner bigger blue ones, and then the outer ones I just did a little accenting of what I had done on the inner side. Okay, and then like I said, stitch out a nice big blue flower right here, comes up and gets right onto those yellows. It looks lovely. I'm hoping she loves it. Grace always gives me free reins with her quilts to do whatever I want. So, and the fact she lets me, she gets really good deals. Custom at an edge-to-edge price. Like I said, she does beautiful work. So, and the backing I chose for this is called, one moment here, Essence Wide Back Backing, and I do prefer to get wide back. It's lovely. Has a nice little tanny color to it with a little bit of leaves and a little bit of dimension, and I really like it. So, and I'm sure she will too. And it kind of complements this quilt with some of the lighter tones on the outside of the yellow. So I don't know. It seemed like it would be really nice for it. And of course, 100% cotton. And I picked up some new wide back gray. What's it called? It's not out of its plastic wrap. You'll see it when I do Auntie Julie's Lone Star quilt. Stone hedge backing. It's just the 108. So it's got a bit of a gray and marbly kind of tone. All right, so you can see it's stitched all the way out. Looks fantabulous. Love it. Okay, so now that's all done. Okay, we'll go back and I'll park you right in front of the star there so you can, or the flower. I need to move it to get to the top, okay? So I will show you. We want to continue because we know, okay, yeah, well, you did your job. Thank you very much. So this was the first part of the quilt. That's at the very first. That's what's going, that's that little feather is what's in the yellow, okay? And you can see where I've had to click everything out, every single point, so I knew I wasn't going into where the blue is with my lemon ice thread, okay? And I've chosen cerulean blue for the blue part here, to go on the blue parts. For some reason, I don't know, I just picked two different colored threads. I thought it would complement them. And of course, when you flip it over to the back side where I've used blue, it's going to look like a whole cloth. Okay, so you can see there's a little flower up here. And what I want to do is click out what we need to finish out on these two spots right here. Okay, so let's move over to a screen we need. Here, I'll show you. That's the center. And of course, I did a very big flower in the center. Oh, that'll come up in a minute. You'll see that. And that's the bottom. That's the border. There's the two little bits that I was talking about that we're going to have to do, but up at the top, because I've did them on the bottom. This is what each of those two big V's looks like, with the flower in the center at the top and at the bottom. There's another one as well. There's a lot entailed. Trust me, it's not just, 5 minutes worth of work. And there's the ones on the side and the big flower in the center. Okay, so just so you can see what I had going on here. Okay, so what I want to do now is move to another new group because I don't want anything to get confused, and I want to click out my boundary. Okay, you can have as many as you need. Okay, and what I was doing was coming in just a little bit. You can see I'm just right on the tippy tip there. I'm not in the yellow, not in the red, I'm right in the blue, and I'm just clicking at each tippy point. Okay, to give myself the space divided or designed to where I need to put that pattern. Okay, It's probably one of the longer long arm Wednesdays. And I appreciate you sticking around. Okay. I'm just defining where I want to set that pattern out. Okay, so that's that one. Now I'm going to go over here and do this one. And like I said, just hitting the top points. Defining the blue space. Okay, almost there. Appreciate your patience. And of course, you can probably see it coming up on the screen. Yeah, you can. Okay. You should be able to. Okay, back to where I started. Okay, so close drawing. Exit drawing. Sorry, itchy nose there for a second. And now I'm going to go back, and where I did those bottom twos, just like that, at the very, very bottom, I'm going to go take those patterns, pull them over up into here so they're exactly the same, flip and flop them so they fit. Okay. That way there's no other pulling or tweaking or whatever else you got to do. Okay, so those are that right there. So I'm going to highlight this one. I'm going to copy. Go all the way to my group 11 because I know that's the one I'm working on. I'm going to go over here and put paste. Okay. Well, I know that's not going to sit where I want it to, so I know I'm going to have to flop. Okay. So I take my pattern and I go, oops, I didn't mean to do that one. Sorry. It's the vertical flip and then the horizontal flip. And I just end up bringing it in right where it needs to be. Sometimes you're going to have to tweak a little bit. Like you can see it comes out, coming a little over onto this side. I'll show you how I do that. I'm going to change to handles. Different handles do different things. These gray ones really manipulate it to the point where it's like bending and flexing like a rubber tube of some sort, right? So you can really be able to move it where it needs to go. Okay, I liking that. Works. Go back over to quilt group 5. Pull the other one that I need. Copy it, back over to 11, paste, stick it there, do a vertical flip, and then a mirror, sorry, not mirror pattern, my bad. Okay, and then just move it up into position. Okay. Like I said, each one's going to be a little bit different because of how it's clicked out and stitched out and so on and so forth. So let's move this one down a little bit because we don't want it running up into the top, right? And it looks like it's all good on either side there. We may have to do a little, there we go. It's fitting quite nicely. There we go. Okay, that's much better. And we'll do a little bit on this one because I see it's right close on that edge right there. Okay, and that's it. All right, bibbidi bobbidi boo, and that she is done as soon as this gets stitched out. So start quilting. I'll do that one first because that's the first one I set it out to do. It goes in the order that you set it. So if you want to work from left to right or right to left, then you got to keep that thought in mind because it's going to go wherever you go. So if you said hit this here, went over there, back over here, over there, back over here, that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to do what you told it to do. So. And this just helps keep this blue stitched down nicely. Because it had a beautiful shape, like a nice shape up like this, but it was kind of like, what do you fill in it, right? Like without being too wonky and weird, and still have a little bit of the flow and naturalness that you had, or what I had already picked for the inside of the yellow. So I'm like, okay, complement it, don't leave it. I thought about stitching in the ditch, but that's a lot. That's a lot to do for that, and I don't think she probably would have liked it. I think a nice little whole cloth looking on the back side. Once this gets stitched out, I'll hold it up, and Munchkin's going to get in there real nice and close and show you how it looks, okay? And this has taken, I'd say maybe about 10 hours to do. There's a lot of clicking, there's a lot of setting, there's a lot of tweaking, there's, you know, and of course each one stitches out, each one of these little, and you know, stop, cut threads, reset back up, so on and so forth. So it took about 10 hours. So if you're curious, this one here when you've seen the amount of work that I've put into it so far. Okay. Good job, Walt. And I'll leave the red little border here plain. That's going to get, after a couple washes, be nice little puffy and frame all the stuff that it's stitched down. I don't want it quilted to death. You know, that's not my purpose for doing customer quilts, unless they want it. But I think this is just enough. It still adds a lot of softness in here and between the little, and between the blocks and here it'll get puffy and soft and comfortable and really make all those other stitches stand right out. So it's almost done. Almost done. Very excited. I love it, love it, love it, love it when it comes to the part. Actually, Pop and I were going to do it, film on the weekend, but I was ready for it. I'd been just doing customer quilts. It was off to the side, just ready to do this part. And he was like, I'm too tired. I'm like, that's okay, I understand. I understand. Munchkin and I'll do it. Don't you worry. Almost there. All right. Okay, we'll move this out of the way. And I'll unclip that side. And of course, you can see it as it's stitching out. Like I said, red is done, black is to be done, or as it's stitching. And you can tell it's like it's a little bit of a darker red than the stuff I've already said confirmed that it is done. So if I didn't like what stitched out or ran out of bobbin halfway, yet it kept going, all I have to do is hit cancel. Then it's going to go back and go like, why? What happened? You don't like what I did? Or, you know, what do we need to do to continue this? So it's like, okay, restart the quilting, position it back up to where it was over here or something like that, and then continue on again, like with the fresh bobbin. So, okay, so I'm going to leave that there for a second so we can get this and this. We'll get this one undone here. And this one undone here. And I'm just going to unzip them both. So just give me a moment here. And then I will turn it so you can see it. I'll show you the front side first, and then I'll show you the back side, and then Munchkin can get in there and get some details so you can see it all looking pretty bad. Okay. And I love wide backs. No seams, no issues. And you got extra fabric to do other things with. Or do binding. Okay, so move the little camera off. And I'll hold this up here. I don't want to poke myself with the pins. Okay, so there we go. Can you see that okay? Yeah? Okay. All right, isn't that lovely? Fabulous job, Grace. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now I'm going to turn it to the back side so you can see. Let me just turn this fabric is hanging over. Okay. And hopefully it looks as lovely as I was anticipating. Nothing like 2 quilts in one. I love it. It turned out really, really nice, and I hope she does too. So surprise, Grace. All right, take care, everybody. Have a fantastic Wednesday, and we will see you on Weekend Project. Have a great day. Thank you.